Hey folks, Coach Patrick here from Endurance Nation back with another episode. This time around, I'll be talking to you a little bit about exiting the out season, exiting your winter training, whether you're with Endurance Nation or not. And what that means is we pivot towards in-season training. Before I begin, as a reminder, Endurance Nation is all about making smarter athletes. Smarter athletes are faster athletes. A huge part of what we do inside the team and here in the broader world is around education. Inside the team, we collect and share information. We create training plans and resources that help our athletes become smarter and faster. We build a great community as well. And we'd love to have you join us. If you're interested, head over to endurancenation.us. You can sign up for our newsletter and learn more about the opportunities you have relative to coaching. Got to go through that newsletter. So endurancenation.us, drop your email address in there. Okay. Thanks for joining me today. So for everybody on the team and for folks who are here outside just in the general space, end of winter training is coming. Doesn't it seem like winter's ending? Looking outside my window, it's clear with 2 feet of snow over the weekend that winter is in no way, shape, or form coming close to ending. However, training must go on. We have a progression. And when we think about your season here inside Endurance Nation, we take your key races and then we engineer your starting point, your starting fitness, your starting skill set, your starting expectations, and we customize a training plan that gets you from where you are to where you want to be by the time we get to race day. Part of that progression includes our winter training program. In the winter inside Endurance Nation, we follow our out-season program, and the out-season program is predicated on using intensity for the bike, intensity for your core sport, and durability in your other sports to make sure that we're keeping you fit and strong and having you exit the out-season after 14 weeks of work, 3 phases, more on that in a second, 14 weeks of work into the rest of your season. So when we are exiting, it's built on the work that you did during the out-season. There's a couple different versions of the out-season, so let me touch on them briefly. First, the hole in one. You lined up the training, you did it, you hit all the workouts, everything was great, no problems. You're in a very small percentage of out-season people simply because life has been so crazy lately. But in your case, you've done a ton of work. And when you exit the out-season, then absolutely rest should be high on your mind. Okay. The next version is the opposite of that, which is to say disastrous out-season. Huge plans and then poor ability to execute them. Life got in the way, health got in the way, fitness got in the way, COVID got in the way. Like who knows what it was that derailed you, but at the end of the day, you really didn't come close to doing the work you believe was possible or that you were capable of doing during the out season through no fault of your own. And as a result, you're in this conundrum where you're saying, I've done this program, but I know I've not done enough to really see the results. What do I do next? All right. So we'll come back to that option. And the third option is sort of a hybrid. This is where the majority of people fall sort of in the center of this bell curve from disaster to excellence. And when we sit in that middle area, then this is where things get a little gray, which is exactly why I'm doing this video / podcast. So you have a chance to understand a little bit more about the nuances in the decision-making process, and you can head the right way as you exit the out season into the rest of your year. In other words, we want you to make sure that your decisions advantage you, set you up for success over the course of the year, and don't undermine the work that you've done, or worse yet, underestimate the work that you've done, which could also lead to significant problems. All right. Okay, so first and foremost, let's assume out-season excellence. It's always fun to kind of start with the best case scenario. So you had your out-season, you crushed your out-season, things are good. You did your final testing, numbers look good. You're pretty pleased with the work you've done, and you're super excited. You've got new numbers and everything, you want to go. And the first thing you do when you look at the training plan is Coach Patrick says, hey, let's take a break. Let's rest. And that's going to drive you insane. However, this rest is important. Rest has not been a core component of the out-season program. Rest in and of itself is hard to come by inside Endurance Nation. In many cases, we don't have built-in rest days in our program, although we can do that for you as we design your plan. But rather, we have rest periods during your year where recovery is important. And exiting the out-season is one of those. We have a training program we call Swim Camp, although we could probably do other versions of that as well if you need. And Swim Camp is meant to be a focus point for triathletes who are exiting the out season, where it's been predominantly cycling and run work. It's meant to be a focal point for these athletes to regain their focus on swimming and fill that time with mental and physical energy, as opposed to completely ignoring it and sort of missing the boat on what this is all about, right? So when we think about when we want to make that transition to the rest of the year, we naturally want to continue this momentum. But the truth is, without a little bit of a break, it's going to be a very steep slope. Every step we take further up the slope gets harder, sometimes even exponentially so. And if we're not prepared physiologically, through rest, work, and recovery, we're going to be in a tough spot when push comes to shove, not only on race day, but in some of those core training sessions. All right. On the flip side, we have athletes whose out seasons were completely derailed and they want to keep going, but they're also not sure how to handle it because they've only got so many weeks to their race. This is a really tough position to solve. And oftentimes I'll dive into the underpinnings of what it is that's caused this friction. So really, it's important for you to kind of take a step back and say, hey, let's assess this situation and identify like what are my limiters, what are things that are blocking me from being able to reach my potential, and then we work to reduce or eliminate or adjust our schedule to avoid essentially these conflicts, whether they are or are not inside your control. The idea here is that we need to make sure that you are able to do some consistent training. Even with a crazy schedule, we can still be consistent. You may need to take 2 days a week off, but if we can get general work in on those other days, that's okay. This would require some semblance of independent ability to manage your training plan so you feel confident about that. You can always report back to your coach here inside Endurance Station. But the idea being that we take what we can and we set ourselves up for success through early training, especially early in the day. And then if that works out, we can kind of carry that momentum forward. But we're going to take it back to way back to baby steps. Otherwise, we're going to set poor expectations by releasing a bunch of you into the world who are not ready to do the type of work that we want to do. And that's just risky overall from a personal health perspective, which we want to avoid 100%. Okay, now what about those people in the gray area? Let me get some refueling coffee here. So good. What about these people in that gray area? This is the trickiest part, as I mentioned. Some of you may need to rest. Some of you are ready to keep on going with the work because you feel like you haven't done much work, and you could definitely do more. This really comes down to nuance. And what I typically tell people is, what's that next milestone? So we're finishing the out season, and in 4 weeks, you got a half marathon. Well, let's keep it going to the half, and then we can take a break, right? If you tell me that your next race isn't until September and it's February, I'll tell you, ooh, we need to solve for that. We need to put a break in there to give our mind and body a chance to recover. So when you think about people who fall into this central space of your community, really trying to discern where they fall and setting some of those parameters so you know that they can be successful through the addition of some rigor to the training and the basic structure of the work that lives here. The idea is that we try to make things as simple and easy as possible and reduce a lot of that complexity. That doesn't always work out, but it's a pretty close proxy for what's possible. So that's what we want to think about. Okay, so those are our 3 types. Now let's talk a little bit about actually exiting. So when we get to the actual exiting part of our out season or any phase inside Endurance Station, the first thing we want you to do is get a pen and paper and do a quick review. Identify what worked, what didn't work, what had you going, what got in the way, opportunities, challenges. Let's write all of these things down so you have this captured. It's not for me. This is for future you, because when we get to the next out season, you can save that piece of paper or that digital copy, put it in the calendar for a future, a last day of October of the year, and have it remind you so you can pull up the document and take a look at it and start off with better decisions than you started this year. Like, you can advantage yourself simply by being really smart in that regard, which I think is often underestimated, but important to note. Beyond that, also just knowing exactly how hard you worked is important too. So get a sense of that from your training stress, your weekly average training stress. Take a look at your numbers for your testing. Did they improve or not? What does that look like? And what are the opportunities for us moving forward? That's important. The next piece, speaking of opportunities, is finding places where you can still grow. So you might have started the bike and realized you made some improvements and you think, ooh, if I could do a few more weeks of the bike or sessions on the bike, I may actually be able to have a breakthrough here. I'm really enjoying it and I'm into it, etc. Those resources aren't necessarily just laying around for anybody to pick up. But if you come over and ask for help, whether it's in your coach channel or you find us online, it's an opportunity for you to get some feedback from a coach, from leadership on the team, and make sure that you are following the right steps so you feel confident about the work that you're doing, and you know that you're going to not only be healthy as you get there, but that you can sustain that health. Okay. Next piece that we have here is taking time for rest. So even if you are continuing on, just a day or 2 of rest makes a big difference. You haven't had 2 consecutive days of rest planned, 2 consecutive days of rest for a while. So let's take advantage of that. Let's get a little bit of a breather here, slow things down. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Let's make sure we're doing the right things to keep ourselves on track so everybody feels good about where we're going and we're totally dialed in. And then, the last piece here inside the team is to actually sign into that next phase. So when you go to the training plan section, you'll see each group, coach, team plan has its own introductory post. Go in there, you can like it. Go in there, you can reshare it, which then creates a space inside your community, which we can then follow and give advice on. The idea being that we are all part of a team, and the more that we share information and resources, the better the outcomes will be. So, as a recap for you on the out season exit, it's really important to listen to your body. It's easy to skip past the need for rest when we think a lot more about what it means to excel. And the best way to kind of get down to the nitty gritty is making tracking super easy. Very simple spreadsheet, for example, or whatever that looks like, so people can track and make sure their numbers are on the right path, and then update those to the site as well. That helps keep everybody honest and allows for the out season to happen organically, giving opportunities for your friends and others to improve, and then you to be motivated similarly to go after them and stay in touch. All right. So the out season is an important transition time, but the first and foremost component is simply rest, making sure you're ready for that next phase when you are ready. Don't force it by any means. We'll definitely know if you're trying to force that next session, and you'll regret it at the end of the day. All right. Thanks for tuning in, folks. I hope you enjoyed this piece on exiting the out season. We'll be posting this up on our YouTube channels so you can kind of check it out. Otherwise, I will see you all soon. Until then, have a great week and stay healthy. See you.